Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and today I'm going to be doing a book review and discussion on Gemina by Amie Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Gemina is the second book in Illuminae, and I'm not going to be talking much about the plot of Gemina because that will be spoilery to those who haven't read this book yet. In case you haven't read Illuminae yet and you don't know what it's about, it basically follows two characters, Katie and Ezra, who have just broken up when their planet is invaded. They both get separated and they end up on different spaceships and they're trying to escape another enemy spaceship that's trying to kill them. Illuminae is told in case files, IMs, emails, and so on, and Gemina is just the same. Illuminae is a fantastic book, and I have a book review on it, so if you want to hear more about Illuminae, then I will link that video down below. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about Gemina, so I'm going to start off with my non-spoiler thoughts. Gemina is a companion book to Illuminae, so it doesn't follow the exact same characters. You are introduced to a bunch of new characters, but then you do see bits of old characters as well towards the end especially. Since this is a companion book, I thought I wouldn't enjoy this book as much as I did with the first book, but I was so wrong because I love this book so much. The two main characters in this book are Nick and Hannah. Hannah is the daughter of the commander of the spaceship, and Nick is a part of a crime family, and something happens on the spaceship that brings Nick and Hannah together, and they have to work together in order to survive. I really love Nick and Hannah's character. Nick is just like your typical very charming and flirty character. Hannah is just like so kick-ass, but she's also like really intelligent, and I really love both of their personalities. I think they have a really great dynamic and they work really well together. This book constantly kept me intrigued. I loved all of the different fight scenes, especially with Hannah involved, because she was like very strategic. I was just constantly rooting for her. Hannah is like very deceptive when it comes to like fighting. She knows how to use different strategies in order to escape the enemy. She was always blowing me away with how like awesome she is. It did not take me long to get back into the world and the story because 100 pages in, things were already super intense. Honestly, I was not prepared for how intense things got in a really short amount of time because 100 pages isn't like that much since this book is told in different media formats. There were so many action-packed scenes along with a bunch of different plot twists that kept me flipping page after page, and I did not want to stop reading. Towards the end, the book did get a little bit like sciencey, so it got a little bit confusing, but overall I think I understood what was happening. Also, I don't know if this is just me, but sometimes I have a really hard time picturing the setting, and that is what I experienced reading Illuminae and Gemina, and it's not just these two books. I always have a hard time picturing the setting, so it was a bit hard for me to get a feel of what the spaceship actually looks like, and sometimes like where the characters are moving around because it's just hard to picture the scene. But I still think this is a great book, and I highly recommend you read Gemina if you haven't already, and if you haven't read Illuminae yet, please do it because these books are amazing. I ended up rating this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It was that good. And now I'm going to jump into the spoiler section. So if you haven't read this book yet, you should exit out of this video because I'm about to get spoilery. What I think is really cool about this book is that Marie Lu, aka the author of Legend and the Young Elites, did the illustrations in this book. So we have sections of Hannah's journal and we see all these different illustrations that were done by Marie Lu, and I really love that addition to the story. There weren't as many illustrations that I thought there would be. They were mostly towards the beginning, but I still really love the addition of those into the story. I especially love the one where Hannah and Nick bump into each other or something like that, and Nick started kind of being really flirty with her and she flips Nick over and like breaks his arm or something, which is hilarious, and I thought that was super awesome. And I'm wondering if there will be a different like media format in the next book because the illustrations wasn't in the first book, so I'm wondering if there will be something new in the third book. I hope so because I just want something a little bit more different. When Hannah's journal first shows up, you see like this bullet and a blood stain, and as the story goes on, the blood stain gets bigger and bigger, and you're kind of wondering like who got shot, and later on we find out that it's Nick. Nick and Hannah were trying to escape Callie, and Hannah ends up dropping her journal, and Nick risked his life to grab that journal because he knows that it's the only thing Hannah has left of her dad. That was so sweet, but at the same time I was like, oh my god, Nick, just leave it, you can come back for it later or something. And then you see Nick gets shot multiple times by Callie and he ends up dying, and I was just like, no. In Illuminae, you know that Ezra died, and now we have in this story Nick dies. In Illuminae, I was very suspicious of Ezra's death because you don't see a body, but in Gemina you do see a body. You see Nick getting shot, you see Nick falling, and you see him like slowly dying, and when he finally does, you're just like, did that really happen? And you just kind of go with it because there's nothing else you can do. After Nick dies, Callie and Hannah have this very intense fight with one another. That is one of my favorite fight scenes in this book because Callie just has so much hatred towards Hannah and she wants to get vengeance on her boyfriend or whatever. And Hannah just whips up this type of drug and blows it in her face, and I was just like, oh my god. Also, can we talk about the fact that Jackson was like the inside man? I did not see that coming. Did anyone else see that happening? From the beginning of the book, you knew that Hannah and Jackson were on good terms. There wasn't anything bad about Jackson, but you know that Nick and Hannah will most likely end up together. So something has to happen to Jackson in order for Nick and Hannah to be together. I had suspicions that he would die, but I did not see that he was going to be the inside man. That was pretty shocking. And then towards the end of this book, it gets very sciencey. So we find out that there's this like alternate dimension. As Nick was doing something outside of the spaceship, he passes the wormhole. The Nick in Hannah's dimension is sent to a different alternate dimension, and that Nick from that alternate dimension gets sent to Hannah's dimension. I was just like blown away. At first I was very confused, and then I like reread it a couple times and I was like, oh my god. So like our Nick didn't actually die, and we find out that in the alternate dimension Hannah dies and not Nick. So basically the Nick and Hannah from the alternate dimension both dies and our Nick and Hannah survives. And then like towards the end we have this incident report from Jackson saying that he kills Nick, Hannah, and Ella, and I was just like, what the heck? No. There were very little pages left when that happened, and I was just like, this cannot be happening. These characters cannot die. And then we find out that it was just like a fake incident report, and all those three characters did survive, but Jackson sacrificed himself, which is insane to me. That scene definitely played with my mind and it messed with my feelings. Amie Kaufman and Jay Kristoff definitely took the deaths of characters to a whole new level. I also really love the scene where Hannah is trying to transfer dead Nick's body back to the alternate dimension and Nick is trying to get himself back into Hannah's dimension. The way it was written was so beautiful. We have this like split screen where you see Hannah's point of view and Nick's point of view, and they just come together and it flowed beautifully, and that was just so well done. Like, props to Amie Kaufman and Jay Kristoff because they did a fantastic job doing that. Also, this is kind of off topic, but like I think my book is printed incorrectly because I have pages 347 to 378 duplicated twice, so I don't know what's up with that. And I was really confused because reading it I was like, wait, didn't I read this already? And then I looked back and I saw that the pages were duplicated. I'm going to insert a clip of what I'm talking about if what I'm saying is confusing, but please let me know if your copy of Gemina is like that too or not. I am so excited to see what happens in the third book, even though it'll be about a year before it comes out, but I just cannot wait to see where the story goes and how it ends. Like I said, I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Those are all of my thoughts on Gemina. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye!